So this was how our strategy is built from the institution through the fieldworkers and communities to become more of a national agenda. So now I'm just going to, this is something that just happened 2 months ago. A fieldworker from another area close to this, you can see the same kind of material culture items, but it's a different language group. A custom school being opened. This fieldworker found that for their community, the main challenge was educating people in the traditions and finding a way to do that, because all the kids were going to school, which was time taken away from traditional learning. So they established this custom school. And you can see here the opening ceremony 2 months ago. And on your right there, you can see a presentation being made from the fieldworker who's standing on the left, presenting a mat, which is a traditional wealth item, to the other fieldworker from the other area you saw earlier in 1998, where they established the Cultural Centre, and he was instrumental in helping him set up the custom school. So he's saying thank you with that mat. This is a lady fieldworker, Numalin Mahana, from the south, a different culture area. For their community, food was the most important. The fact that young people were not learning of the great diversity of food sources in the environment, they were just starting to learn about just a few. And so the object of this food festival was to teach about all these different kinds of food that were available and how to prepare them and how to preserve them and those kind of things. So there she is talking in the ceremonial ground. You can see some of the chiefs up the forehead here with their backs to us, and then in the background some of the women and men who are making the food. That's a grated yam dish, and they're just milking it with coconut milk there, and then it goes in the leaves and then goes in the ground. So, policy challenges now that we're facing. The main one is land. In the Melanesian region, Papua New Guinea, Solomons, Vanuatu, and the rest of the Pacific, but these are the main land masses, there are huge pressures now, especially in Papua New Guinea. Mining, gas, forestry, logging. In Vanuatu, we're fortunate to have not discovered any minerals or gas yet. But the problem of land being leased, because it cannot be sold. The Constitution forbids the holding of land in perpetuity outside of customary systems. But the state has been facilitating alienation in other ways through leasing. And one of the current moves, one of our main policy agendas now, or one of my policy agendas as a Minister of State, is to try to amend existing legislation to provide for wider consultation and require prior informed consent from all members of a clan before any land dealings can be registered. We have a situation now where our elders in many communities are selling off their clan's land, leasing off their clan's land without consent with the other members. We need to amend existing legislation to deal with many long-standing problems with land. And one of the things we're trying to look for models, and if anyone knows any, I'd be happy to hear about them, providing for legal group holding of land by a group of people, like the clan owning principle which we have in Vanuatu. One of the second important policy area which I want to talk about or just mention is how do we as the state recognize community groups? Because of our experience of colonization, our forms of traditional organization have been fragmented, pretty much denigrated and no longer practiced. We have new forms of leadership in the communities which are not traditional, but we now consider our own. For example, chiefs. Chiefs as such only existed in 2 cultures out of the many in Vanuatu. And in other communities now we have chiefs, but in fact they're a colonial construct. And the construction of chiefs through Westerners, men coming to our shores and looking for other men to talk to, therefore having male chiefs, has been something which has very much disempowered women. And we've done research and found out that, in fact, this has been the single biggest factor contributing to the status of women in Vanuatu today, which is a low status, is the fact of the experience of colonisation. And I did have another photo, which I unfortunately don't have time to put in, of our women back in the 1800s being dressed up, you know, in the white missionary clothes and stuff, and said, your place is the home, whereas previously they were doing the same things men did in their own set part, in the garden, out in the environment.